The 5 ways Terraform authenticates. Terraform does not have an identity of its own. Terraform borrows an identity from its execution environment. So when authentication works, it feels invisible, and when it fails, it feels mysterious. Today we remove the mystery. There are 5 ways Terraform ends up authenticated. Terraform is a client. The provider is the thing that actually talks to the cloud API. So when you say Terraform authenticated, what really happened is the provider obtained credentials or tokens and used them to authenticate requests to the API. That means the real question is always this: where did the provider get its identity? Way 1 is environment variables. This is the simplest path. You export values into your shell, and the provider reads them from the process environment. It can be an access key pair, it can be a token, it can be an OIDC token file path, it can be a pointer to a configuration. The key idea is this: your terminal session becomes the identity container. Let it sink in. And their danger is also obvious. Environment variables are easy to leak through logs, screenshots, and copy paste. Way 2 is local credential files. This is a classic pattern. A well-known file location on disk, often in your home directory, holds identity material or configuration that leads to identity material. The provider loads the file, it selects a default identity or a named configuration, and now Terraform has an identity without you typing anything into the terminal. This is more stable than environment variables, but it creates a new rule. If you do not know which identity is being used, you do not know who you are. Way 3 is your cloud COI session. Many people think Terraform logs in. It does not. What often happens is that your COI is already authenticated, maybe through SSSO, maybe through a browser-based device flow, maybe through cached tokens, maybe through an external credential helper. Terraform then runs in the same environment, and the provider reuses what the COI already provided. This is why the phrase matters. Terraform is a guest in your terminal. If the COI is authenticated as the wrong identity, Terraform will confidently operate as the wrong identity. Way 4 is platform identity. This is the cleanest path in production. Terraform runs somewhere inside a trusted platform, and that platform provides identity automatically. Examples include a VM identity, a container task identity, a Kubernetes service account using OIDC, a managed identity, a workload identity federation flow. In these setups, there may be no long-lived secret on disk at all. Instead, the platform issues short-lived credentials. They expire, they rotate automatically, and if stolen, they die quickly. Terraform asks the platform issues a short-lived token, and the provider uses it to authenticate requests to the API. This is why CI pipelines can be safer than laptops when designed correctly. Way 5 is explicit credentials in the provider configuration. This is when you pass credentials values directly into the provider block, often through variables. Technically, it works. Operationally, it is risky, because now the identity is tied to code paths and variable plumbing. And here's the subtle danger most people miss. Even if a value is treated as a secret in your pipeline, Terraform state can still record values depending on how the provider models that attribute. If a secret ends up in state, it is often stored in clear text inside Terraform TF state. If you do this, the only acceptable pattern is secrets come from a secret manager, injected at runtime, never stored in repo, never echoed in logs. Here is the discipline that prevents most failures. Before you run plan, ask questions. Which identity source am I using today? Environment variables, local credential files, COI session, platform identity, explicit provider configuration. If you cannot answer in that one sentence, stop. Because the plan will still run, but you will not know who is behind it. And in Terraform, not knowing who you are is the fastest way to change the wrong environment. Next, we connect this to precedence. Because when multiple identity sources exist at the same time, the provider will pick one, and it may not pick the one you intended. That is where most authentication bugs come from. Not missing credentials, competing credentials. That is the 5 ways. Now we learned the order they win.